going to be talking about this university community partnership program called the Sustainable City Year Program from the University of Oregon. But as was mentioned, it's a model that's now been adopted and adapted by many different types of universities around the country, from large research institutions to small liberal arts schools, to take advantage of the institutional abilities and capacities of their universities and administrative bureaucracies and craziness, and work in the same type of unique situation in their communities and organizational and bureaucratic craziness in this way that is unbelievable. And I can say that, and I know you don't know me, so that might sound like really big-headed and ego-driven, but it's something that some colleagues and I sort of stumbled into, and it's worked really well, and we're still really excited about it 6 years later, and can't believe it works, and can't believe other people can make it work. And so I'm very excited just to share it and give away all the state secrets so that the University of Washington can do it too. So we could call this talk Applied Scholarship for Sustainability, or we could call it Massively Scaled, Radically Simple University Community Engagement Program for Social Innovation, Turning Knowledge into Practice and Developing the Next Generation Workforce and Sustainability Leadership. That hits all the buzzwords out there in the funding world at the moment. Or we could call it an urgently needed way to rethink the role of higher education in society, which tends to be the way I phrase it. It's a complete overhaul. That's not right. It's a way to take advantage of a huge amount of excess capacity that resides in universities across the country that I find to be an immoral waste. That there are some urgent needs in our society, and we need to get on the business on solving those, and universities need to do a much better job in doing that day to day. And so I want to present an approach to make that happen, and to make it happen in a way that actually makes faculty, professor, instructor lives easier. That's the key. So we've had sort of a few other forums this morning. So if by chance I forget to mention a key bit that I should be mentioning, I will ask a couple of you who have heard the other versions today to remind me to say something or to point out a key insight or a key thing that you heard earlier in the day that I'm missing. So the basic starting point of this program is about connecting classrooms to communities. And how many people in here teach a class that connects that class to the community in some way? Okay, so this is not something new, of course not. People have been doing it here for a long time. People have been doing it at the University of Oregon a long time. People have been doing it at universities all over the place for a long time. And there's a lot of awareness about how to do it correctly, how to do it in ways without harming the community and so forth. And what I'm going to explain is not a replacement for that type of good work that's happening, but in fact, to harness that level of engagement and interest in a new way. So often what happens, and I know it happens here because this is just the way universities work, is that people who teach courses that have an applied component do so mostly individually, right? So we have a planning professor in their class doing it there, maybe an architecture studio doing it there, maybe someone in the business school doing it over here, maybe a law clinic is doing it over there. No doubt there's public health classes that are working in their community, and when you do this, it's good work, great, no critiques at all, but each instructor is having to find the client, the project, the scope, the logistics of doing a site visit, the logistics of inviting people into class, ordering the food for the reception, organizing a van transportation to get there. What person who's teaching a class here enjoys doing that? Right. So I should say, in addition to what I'm going to be explaining to you, I'm also a full professor of city and regional planning, and I have a course load, and I teach, and I can't stand doing any of those things either. I want a good opportunity for my students to make a difference in the world and learn the content. I am not like that planning, like that level of planning. Like, I'm a planning professor, but planning those logistics, forget it. It's that. So that's what happens, right? We have really great people across our campus doing good applied work, and they're almost always doing it all on their own. So it's a lot of effort for good reason, but shouldn't there be a way to harness that in a way that provides maybe even greater value add and makes it sort of reduces some of those transactional costs? So we came up with this embarrassingly simple question that is the foundation of the entire program I'm about to explain. And It really is embarrassingly simple. So here's our question. What if we could connect existing courses taught in their existing ways with existing faculty to a single city over an academic year to work on sustainability-related projects identified by city staff? And you could substitute public health-related projects, social equity-related projects, you could substitute anything, but working on projects that city staff have said we need help with. Not new courses, not new faculty, not new ways of teaching, but what if we could take things that already exist and instead of them going out individually, what if we could take some of them, not even all of them, some of them, sort of coalesce them to a single place over a single period of time? Would that make a difference? Would that scale of engagement make a difference in the community, the impact in the community, with the community, and also on campus, across faculty, across students, across the endeavor that we're supposed to be doing at our universities? Right, so it's a very simple question. Let's take stuff that we're already doing, and let's just see if we can organize it a little bit and create different impact. So this actually started with 5 of us sitting around a table at the University of Oregon, and these were 5 faculty that wanted to hang out together more. We were from different disciplines, we liked each other, and whenever we'd see each other it'd be great, but we wanted to come up with some excuse to just hang out. And we couldn't come up with it until we sort of asked this question. And the 5 of us pledged that on the subsequent year we would each take one of our courses and work with one city. We had to choose the city, but we all said, okay, we each have one class that we could do, and then that will be the excuse for us to get together. We found a city called Gresham, Oregon. It's a suburb of Portland, 2 hours to the north of the University of Oregon. So really different than the model of the university working just in the community that it is. And we went to the city manager, who was a big booster of the University of Oregon, and said, we have this crazy idea. There's 5 of us, we teach these classes, here's the content. Is this stuff that you could even use, or are we just sort of crazy ivory tower academics who are clueless about the way the world works? And the city manager and his staff saw our 5 things and said, yes, 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 yes. And now that you mention it, here's a whole bunch of other things that we could use some help with in our city. Do you guys do that at the university? We said, maybe. How does it? We don't know everything across our university. And what happened with 5 of us pledging a class ended up in our pilot year to be 19 classes working with the city of Gresham. And so now the scale of effort that we do, and I'll get some into the nitty-gritty of how it works and so forth, is now every year we're doing this. So it's one city, it's doing about 15 to 20 projects, somewhere between 25 and 35 different courses that encompass 20 to 25 faculty across 14 disciplines, and in some years, classes from other universities plugging into this that engage 500 students that give 40, 60,000 hours of effort of their of time to work on city-identified projects, things that are in city work plans, things that city staff have to get done to tell their bosses, to tell city council that they've done. So this is not charity work, this is not hypothetical projects, this is real work from the city that they need help with that we can provide from our classes. We're not consultants, we're not being given a widget to design, we're being given vexing issues to try to wrestle with that city staff can't address, either because they don't have the time or capacity, capacity to address those issues. They don't have the latest knowledge on what to do because they're working hard day to day, or they don't have the political space. And it's really hard to introduce new ideas in the public domain if you're a city staff. There's only so many battles that you can do with proposing something and having people yell at you for doing whatever. Right? So there's these lack of capacities that we have at the university in abundance. We have access to the latest and greatest knowledge, best practices from around the world, something that's really easy for us to forget inside the walls of the university, how much we have access to that relative to the world outside of our walls. We have a tremendous amount of untapped capacity when we think about our students and our classes, and pushing the envelope on introducing new ideas. We can't not do that. Right? You can't tell students to not push the ideas, to push the thinking. That's just what they do. It's impossible for us to no, stay in this box. No, stay in this box. No. So that's sort of the scale of scope. And we now actually charge a city for the privilege to work with us $250,000 to $350,000, which is unbelievable. And really this is like $15,000 chunks. $15,000 from the Public Works Department because they have a street project. $15,000 from Economic Development because they have a urban renewal project. $15,000 from the Parks District because there's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's decentralized in the staff budget, connected to city priorities and so forth. So I'm happy to talk more about that. What I'd like to show is the 2.5-minute animation of the whole entire thing because it just came out and I really like it, and I think this does a nice job of explaining the connection between how the university and the city can be structured and why we do that. So hopefully this doesn't feel too disruptive.
Looking for ways to improve, whether that's by increasing quality of life, always looking for ways. Cities are always looking for ways to improve, whether that's by increasing quality of life or reaching economic, social, or environmental goals. Yet at a local level, change is often hard. City staff often lack the capacity, time, knowledge, or political space to make changes that society increasingly demands. So how can the city get knowledge into practice, facilitate positive discussions about change, and look at old problems in new ways? It turns out what cities lack, universities have in abundance. Students have a tremendous amount of creativity and desire to make change. They are learning best practices and the latest theories, and are hungry to find ways to translate that knowledge into practice. They can facilitate conversations in the community that are less threatening and more productive, and they have a lot of time to give. Many university departments already do work related to cities, in subjects like city planning, architecture, geography, law, business, journalism, landscape architecture, economics, engineering, and public administration, just to name a few. The trick is to match a city and its needs with the university and its resources, while working within the administrative structures of both, adding value to all, and engaging in a scale that actually improves outcomes for cities and universities. But how does a city access students and faculty? How do instructors know what projects the community actually wants help with? And who has the time to coordinate any of it and ensure the work is real work? That's where we come in. Think of SCYP as a framework that solves the university-community partnership puzzle. It fits the complicated structure of city governments and universities neatly together. There are two keys to the match. First, a coordinator within the university and a coordinator at the city work closely together on every aspect of the partnership. Their job is to make it easy for individual professors and individual city staff members to plug into the partnership. Second, those individual instructors and staff co-develop a scope of work that ensures the work produced advances the city's plan for the year while also meeting the educational needs and abilities of students. This two-tiered relationship structure is a key innovation of SCYP. It provides quality control, ensures the projects are real, and allows busy faculty and city staff to engage easily in a partnership that provides tremendous value to their existing work responsibilities. SCYP empowers cities and universities to create lasting change, trains the next generation workforce in innovative ways, and advances real efforts to improve quality of life in communities throughout the country and potentially around the world.
So for us at the University of Oregon, here's the disciplines that have been involved thus far. And I should mention that this is it's an opt-in model. So these are faculty that are opting in. There's no arm twisting. It's not requiring new people to do things in ways that they don't want to do. This is an area where we say there's a not problem to find faculty. Right? So faculty control their own courses. They don't need permission from chairs or deans or provosts on how they teach their class, as long as it's generally doing the right thing. They can do what they want. And so these are the different departments where we've had faculty opt in. So planning, architecture, landscape architecture are sort of easy ones because they're already dealing with cities and the built environment. Public policy, interior architecture, journalism, digital arts, our nonprofit management program, product design, business law. Civil engineering is not from our university but from Portland State because we don't have an engineering school. Economics, arts and administration, and geography. So our campus is divided into 7 schools and colleges, and we're hitting 5 of the 7. So what we're not hitting thus far is music and dance, or the School of Ed. And the School of Ed actually both of them have possibilities. I actually talked with someone who does community drama, that's where they take on community issues and do a community-engaged drama to try to help work through certain things, but just haven't plugged it in yet in a way that works. So sort of a broad swath of the campus, and these are I mean, you can guess this is not just studio courses. This is not just like the planning studio or the architecture studio or the landscape architecture studio. Some of these are just regular classes. So for example, one of the classes that I teach is I teach a class on bicycle transportation, redesigning cities so more people can bike as normal people getting around. It's not a studio course, but I just have an applied project. Go check out some corridors and come up with some ideas on how to redo it. And it plugs into this. Right? So there's different models. Sometimes there's studio courses, but not everything. Sometimes there's classes on data analysis, where the instructor just needs a question and a data set. And maybe they care about sustainability, maybe they not. But if you give them a sustainability or a public health or a social equity question and a data set, they'll analyze it. And what a great opportunity for students to be involved in something real world. And of course, the answers are helpful. So some of the things that sometimes it's sort of, I think, helpful to sort of explain like how this is different than what we might think of experiential learning or service learning or community-based learning or what else? What am I missing? And applied learning, all these terms for those who might do the pedagogy research in that area, that it's large scale, right? That actually the scale of connection makes a difference. It's much different to have 25 courses working in a place with the city and on the campus than 25 separate things going in different directions. That scale matters in terms of the attention you get from the city. People show up. The right people show up to get the information and the insights and the ideas from the city. And when the right people show up, meaning city councilors and mayors and the right staff people, of course, students produce better work because they know that their ideas might actually make a difference because they're presenting to the mayor or the city council. It's cross disciplines, which is huge. This is not just, not only just disciplines, but schools. When we're spanning schools and colleges, this is a campus initiative. This is sort of the University of Washington, the University of Oregon, serving and working with the community in the state. And it's an opt-in model, as I mentioned. This is key to the whole thing. So we have faculty, as I'm sure that exists here, that are doing amazing, wonderful work, who are just not great people to hang out with. They're just the difficult souls. And I'm sure no one in this room is one of those people. And as I've mentioned a couple times to other people, I don't know how chairs of departments do it, because you have to deal with everyone. In this, you're only dealing with people who are good people who opt in for the right reasons and like to play with others and are happy to be transparent and work things out and are okay with a little ambiguity and happy to take and share credit with others. And they exist like crazy around this campus too. And there's more people like that than anyone here actually knows. That's been our experience. We had no idea how many people around campus are that way because normally we don't interact as broadly as we could. It's not new curricula. This is existing courses, existing faculty. The projects are community identified. So these are real things that they want. No permission is necessary. Like I said before, you don't need to ask a chair, dean, or anything like that. There is a fee. It's critically important that the city partner has skin in the game. It's critical. That means that they show up, they get the data to the faculty, they respond to things that are needed to make the program work because they're invested in outcomes because it helps them advance their agenda. And the whole purpose of this is that it's catalytic, that this is purposefully designed to make change happen in the community, while at the same time students are gaining amazing applied experience. But the change in the community is the goal. This is not just for teaching our students. This is about moving society forward on critical social needs. And the geography of connection can be much broader than perhaps has been thought of in the past. So I'm not sure where 2 hours gets you. It might get you, well, for another 2 weeks, it might get you to downtown Seattle, but in 2 weeks, that's 8 minutes away, so, that part's okay. But 2 hours can get you a pretty big geography and a range of environments to work in and a range of experiences for students. And it's all based on the resources that already exist. Faculty, classes, curriculum, projects people are already doing. So this is the Eugene, Oregon. Our first city was in Gresham, 2 hours to our north, about 150,000, Gresham. Then Salem, the state capital. It's about an hour away from our campus, where they told us they were super happy to work with us, but we weren't allowed to use the word sustainability when we started. And by the end of the year, sustainability wasn't this crazy hippie thing. It was, we can walk and bike to the store and downtown, and our kids can walk and bike to school without us having to drive them as parents, and we can do X, Y, and Z. We can have this economic development. We had a project in the city of Salem that was a business school class that did an industrial ecology. It was an industrial ecology class, so waste outputs of one industry as inputs to another. And one of the groups in this class came up with a business plan around their sort of food waste kind of stuff that they were doing, and realized there was excess capacity and anaerobic digester in the city, and wrote a business plan and said, if you follow our plan, you city will save and or save expenses, generate revenue equal to between $800,000 and $1 million a year. And this just happened to be one of like a whole bunch of ideas that happened over the year, but this idea was one that the public works people who ran the anaerobic digester looked at and just like, we could do that right now, and in a year afterward, the students' projections were right on. And this is like a forever year-to-year savings, right? We don't always get those types of successes. Most things that we do are like tweaking policy that's going to have these, indirect changes over time is significant, but the way that cities work is much slower than, I'm going to put this plan into place and generate $1 million and turn our anaerobic digester from a thing over there to part of our city's economic development strategy. And they now advertise, companies come here, we can take your waste and process, you can claim that, we can blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's an hour away. So anyway, after a year of where they said, we want to work with you, but don't say the word sustainability, a year later, they're like, oh, sustainability means this great economic development opportunity for our city where we saved $1 million on this one little thing plus all the other ideas we got. The city of Springfield is right next to Eugene. And Springfield's like 50,000 people. Then down south, 2.5 hours to our south, is the city of Medford. So we're very much of a natural resources-based community, trying to figure out how to modernize. And then this year we're working with the city of Redmond, Oregon, which is on the other side of the Cascades, 2.5 hours away. Small, 25,000 people. And they're up to $280,000 this year. It's unbelievable. So all the benefits go in all the directions that we think they might. We can go into all the details. For students, they eat this stuff up. You probably know that students are demanding this. Like they want opportunities to make a difference and to know that the knowledge, the things that they're learning in the classroom are relevant and matter. It's unbelievable how many resumes I see of students, people asking for letters of recommendation. So I look at their resumes. How many students list the class that they participated in on their resume as work experience? I mean, it's a little sad, but amazing at the same time. And they don't sign up for the class in the program. They sign up a class that's in their degree program. It just, the faculty says, this is what we're doing, okay. And yet the experience is so meaningful and valuable that they put it in here. At the end of each class, we actually ask the professor to name one or two of the best students, and we pay them to take all of the ideas in that class and compile it into a professional report. And I have some examples here if you want to see them afterward. So this becomes a deliverable to the city and something for the portfolio for the students that become the writers. And they don't report on everything that the students did because some of the work isn't that good. And there's no need to have that stuff live any longer after the term ends. But the other stuff does get put in and synthesized and organized in a way that's actually like a report to a client. It's meaning, the lessons learned, the recommendations are all organized. And we, as an organization, part of the money we get from the city helps do that. So it's not the professor supervising the students doing the writing. It's our sort of central group doing it on behalf of the class. We supervise the students. We edit the reports. We come up with the template. And the faculty can be as involved in that process as they want or not at all. I'm almost not involved at all as a professor. I might, at the very beginning, think like, okay, here's probably the sort of the 4 themes that should carry throughout. I'm too busy. I don't want to deal with it. You guys do it. I have a different little hat that sort of supervises on the other end. But the whole idea with all of this setup is to make it easy for faculty to plug in, right? To provide value add. We cannot ask faculty to do anything, ever. You won't be successful. Right? So the whole point of this effort and this model and this structure is to make it easier for faculty to be part of it than not. Right? Someone else is bringing you a client and a project and people and resources, something that your students are demanding. So I should also say in our model, we, with some of the money we get it from the city, we offer back to the faculty between $500 and $1,000, not for slush funds, not for a payout, because it's illegal, it's money laundering, but to help augment the teaching of their course. So for me, I subsidize travel or poster printing. Other faculty bring in a guest speaker if they have a unique content, or maybe buy some resources, books or something that's particularly useful for the teaching of that class, which is amazing. Like, we never get any extra resources when we teach our class. So we do some of that, but the real value is actually for faculty who like to do applied work. It's easier when someone is bringing them a list of a willing client and projects that match, and someone to help shepherd through the process and make it easier. So for the faculty, that's the value add, and helping them meet the demands and the interests of their students. For the university, we're doing what universities say they want to do. Serving the public, working across disciplines, meeting pressing societal needs. And yet, most of our universities take approaches to doing this in sort of like, let's get together and talk about how we can make this thing happen, and they sort of die in committee. Not after the first committee meeting, right? After a committee meeting, and then it ends. And so here's sort of this subversive way to actually make the thing happen, and help the universities actually accomplish the missions that they say that they're trying to do, which in these days and times, especially for public universities, is something you want to be able to go to your governor and legislature and say, we are not disconnected from our population. We are serving our state. And I have no doubt that the same tensions are happening at the University of Washington as they are at the University of Oregon and all public universities around the country. I don't know anywhere that's upping investment in public universities and praising their public universities as doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And I just don't think we're in that era. So it's additional for that. For the private sector, so we are not consultants. We are absolutely not consultants. If anything, we're like pre-consultant consultants. We are helping the city set the terms of moving forward so that when they go out to bid or when they take projects on internally, they're framing and they're moving forward in the right way. We received a lot of feedback from cities that the work our students do is way better than the work they ever get from consultants, but we don't tell that to the consultants. It's very sad that the bar can be so low. But some of what we do is we also try to engage the private sector in the work. So we've had this occasion, like in Salem, the American Institute of Architects got word of what we were doing, and they got really angry. And so we were taking away their work. And we said, no, we're not taking away your work. Our students don't sign documents, and we're humbled by the fact that you think that our students can outdo work compared to you. How about this? Why don't you get engaged with us? Get engaged with the classes, help guide the students a little bit, because we are actually educating your client. If you do work in sustainability, why don't you hang out with us? We're educating your client about sustainable architecture. You're going to be first in line when that project goes to bid. Oh, okay. So there's sort of ways to mix that around. We've had private developers also be part of this. So we had this great project in Springfield that was they had a big box store, sea of parking. The city wanted to do something. The developer owner wanted to do something. The city and the developer didn't really speak much. They didn't have a relationship, but sort of via the university, that was able to, all kinds of great things were able to move forward. I just sounded like Donald Trump. We sort of made Springfield great again. So there's ways to bring the private sector, and we've also had the United Way be involved as well in terms of sort of sponsoring a project. And for cities, it's been tremendous in the ability to move projects forward. And I said this earlier, like the bar is really low for what cities need to move forward. It's quite shocking. There's a lot of need, and it's crazy. But in our classes, in our 10-week classes, the things that our students are able to do are significant in terms of helping the city move forward on projects, get things unstuck, bridge relationships, fractious relationships in the community. It's amazing. So we have a few classes on our campus that are specifically oriented toward engaging marginalized communities in sort of helping bring them out of the shadows and more into public decision making. Right? And generally speaking, at least the cities that we've worked with, really want to have better relationships, in Oregon particularly with the Latino community, really want to have better relationships with their Latino community, but just don't have the trust to do it. And vice versa is true. And so when you have a class under the leadership of faculty that know how to do this work, in 10 weeks can help develop relationships that can sustain beyond. It's unbelievable. So here's, I'm happy to talk more about sort of the city reactions, but clearly we've had, well, so I'll read this. So here's from the mayor of Redmond. This is a funny guy. He's kind of a conservative, actually, a very conservative. This was like after my bike class. He's an anti-biker conservative. He says, the SCYP program has been excellent collaboration between the city of Redmond and the University of Oregon professors and students. The quality of work contributed and the enthusiasm shown has led to some outstanding results. As an example, the first project, that was mine, a look at bike pedestrian improvements in Redmond led to an acceptance of 16 of 18 suggestions to be included in the upcoming transportation systems plan. As the first city east of the Cascades to be teamed with the logistics, have been accommodated very well. The U of O teams come here, we go there, which has worked out for both groups. The money invested by Redmond is what I consider funds well spent. I would do it again. We have this from every single one of our cities, things like this. This is a conservative mayor, not a bike guy. He came to the final presentations of my bike class. So we did sort of poster presentations in the community. So not formal like PowerPoint stuff, but poster presentations, invited in a whole swath of the community to engage with students about their ideas. It was unbelievable. The students love this because at the end of it, they think, wow, I learned something. I was able to like go back and forth with people who are happy, not happy, back and forth, questioning. I could reframe their questions. And this mayor who was really just, you know, I'm sure you have it here, like bikes are whatever. Bikers are evil and putting space for biking is taking away from driving and all this other kind of stuff. He walked out, he would not walk out in a bad way, but at the end of this, this engaging with students and hearing how to think about redesigning a city for people on bikes and what it can mean for his small, rural-ish community and how they can market themselves as a contrast to Bend, Oregon. We're the family-friendly city. We're not sort of the Bend, yuppie, California jet setter, you know, we're something different. He walked into the sort of room next door and immediately called his staff to set up a meeting with the governor to find out how to get some of this stuff to happen. Right? If his staff would have tried to have that same conversation with him, they wouldn't have gotten anywhere. But the ability of students to help change the nature of the conversation is incredible. So we also have these like great quotes nationally. So I hope everyone can get quotes like this from the New York Times. SCI is perhaps the most comprehensive effort by a U.S. university to infuse sustainability into its curriculum and community outreach. The Chronicle of Higher Ed called it one of higher education's most successful and comprehensive service learning programs. And so we've gone on the road to train other universities how to do it, and here's just some of them that are up and running, that have adopted and adapted this model. And so it's amazing. The University of Minnesota is bigger than what we do. The University of Iowa does very rural work. It's Iowa. San Diego State is bigger than what we do. And they have a lot of different disciplines, including they've tapped their craft beer making certificate program to do work. Because craft beer, of course, is a new economic development, part of cities' economic development strategies. Anyway, you can see a whole bunch of stuff. The University of St. Thomas is not in the Caribbean, it's in Minnesota. They're launching right now with like 19 classes at a small liberal arts school. Right? Small liberal arts schools don't do applied work. I don't know what's going on there. Western Washington is getting ready to launch in the fall. Anyway, you can see a whole wide range of things. Even Technion in Haifa, Israel, has launched. I just spent the last 6 months with them in Israel, and they're going, which is amazing. One of the main ways that we do our training is coming up in 2 weeks. So this will be the 5th time where we have this conference. This year it's going to be in San Diego, and it's really not really a conference, it's really a workshop where we give everything away. The idea is for prospective programs, you know, people who want to start this type of thing, is to make the light bulb go off and then give you everything you need to launch. Answer all the questions. We give away a thumb drive that has sample contracts and master agreements and communication plans and all just like stuff that our board of trustees don't like that we give away because they want us to own it and charge for it, and we want to make the world better. So That's what we're doing. So that's happening in a couple weeks, and my hope, after having a few conversations that we've had thus far today, is to have at least 2, maybe 3 people from the University of Washington come down. I know that there's interest, and there's just sort of finding the funding to come down for the few days in San Diego to get that launched. And nice, there's both the EPA in this region and the Association of Washington Cities is very interested in having the University of Washington get started. And my understanding is that both are prepared to pledge some funding for a startup year here, sort of contingent upon getting the education and matching funds internally to make that go. But this is happening in a couple weeks, so hopefully UW will go. Western Washington is launching this year after coming to the conference last year, so it's great. So anyway, I'm sure I skipped a whole bunch of things, but why don't I, since we're a small group, I'll stop there and I can fill in questions and answers if there's some things that I should have said that I didn't say from those who know what else I can be saying. I can do that as well. So thanks, and let's just have a conversation or Q&A. Great, thanks.